let the Lord.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. First of all, I'd like to thank God for giving us this opportunity. Also thank Dr. Simster from the Southwestern Christian College, Dr. Barclay, Brother Floyd Rogers, and Brother Andrew Braxter. And all those who are part of the Southwestern Christian College Lectureship Committee, I just really like to thank you guys for inviting us to be a part of it. Also, all of the influential ministers of the gospel. YouTube calls them opinion leaders, and we're excited about that because you have so much influence. So together, networking through Christ our Lord, we can definitely reach a lot of people. I love the theme this year of this year's lectureship, Who Moved My Church? Jesus Christ our Lord and Savior never intended for us, his church, to stay in one place. He always encouraged his church to go. In Matthew 28:19 and 20, he says, "Therefore, go, make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, teaching these new disciples to obey all commandments I've given you. And be sure of this, I am with you always, even to the end of the age." The Lord left it up to us on how to accomplish this commandment. God has provided for his people technology to go. We can go. We can go with Christ and reach a lot of people. Philippians chapter 4:13 says, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me." Ephesians chapter 4, I love this. Paul said, "I therefore, a prisoner of the Lord, beseech you that you walk worthy of the vocation wherewith you are called, with all lowliness and meekness and long-suffering, forbearing one another in love, endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace." This is the ministry of the Church TV Network, and we call it a digital mission field, and we're looking for more workers to work in that field. Let's learn these different techniques that I have in store for you today. I'm looking forward to working with you. Here we go. You ready? All right, everybody. The first thing we want to do before we start service, make sure you get there early so you have everything set up. If your camera been outside or you've been shooting in another setting, your white balance may be off. What is white balance? White balancing will give you the actual color of the room. So what you want to do, you want to zoom in on a white background. A lot of people have cards or whatever that they zoom in on. But if you don't have your card or whatever, just walk into a room, find a white surface and zoom in on that white surface. And then find out on your camera where your white balance button is. And it will automatically set it off and you'll have a good, clean look. So with the Panasonic AG-AC 130, our white balance is right here. So keep in mind, different cameras have different places where the AWB is, or the automatic white balance. So you got to find it on your camera, know your camera. In our case, it's right here. So you push that button and then you should have a good white balance. You got options, again, when you purchase a camera, your zoom. The Panasonic AG-AC 130 has a 22 zoom option, so we can get real close up. We can be real far back. Most congregations, like Southside's building, it holds about 200 people. So if we get all the way in the back, it's not too far from the front. So it's a real good close up that you can get, especially if you got a 2-camera shoot. You want to think about shooting close up on your minister and the song leaders, things like that, or even the crowd. You want close-ups on the crowd. And then you want a wide angle. So it's very important that you get a good, clean focus. A lot of people, they'll do automatic focus. Professionals, what you want to do, if you have the manpower, is to do manual focus. I'm going to teach you how to correctly manually focus your subject, okay? Stay right with me. The next thing that's really important when it comes down to shooting, you want to make sure that you got your focus. So you need a subject that will go up front and get you a good focus before service start. And think about what you got to shoot. All right, guys, today we're so excited to have Sister Felicia Watkins with us. She's a part of the Southside team, videographer. She does things like the Pro Presenter and things like that. She helps set up the cameras and things like that. She's in a learning process. Mm-hmm. She's learning a lot, and she's a real big help. So today, let's give her a hand. Yeah, thank you for being here. Don't clap for yourself. Yeah, good to have you. And she's going to be my subject when it comes down to focusing, okay? So you stand right here, Felicia, okay? And we're going to, sometime when you come in, it looks more like this, and we're going to fix that, okay? So what we're going to do is, the key to it is to zoom all the way in. Make sure you're on manual focus. You want to zoom all the way in on her hairline. And you want to get that totally in focus like so. And then bag out. And that's how you get a real good crisp shot. Now you can zoom in and out, back and forth. Not a lot, but when you need to, okay? Zoom back and forth, and it'll stay in focus. That's focusing. All right, also to help demonstrate the three-point lighting system for you might do a morning devotion or something like that. Mm-hmm. We have Brother Cedric McNeil, fist bump. We got Brother Cedric McNeil from the Lucas Street Church of Christ in Athens, Alabama. He does quite a bit on the Church TV network, and we're excited to have him to collaborate with us on the Church TV network. So we're gonna set up a set, just in case you do a morning devotion or a Bible study or things like that. A lot of people are doing that at this particular time. So we're gonna do three-point lighting, hook you up, and then they'll be able to see what we're trying to do. All right, stay tuned. A proper setup for four-point lighting is a key light, a field light, a backlight, and a background light. This setup can be used for morning devotions, Bible classes. The key light, which is your brightest light, will be set up on the left-hand side or the right-hand side of your subject. The field light, which is set up on the opposite side of the key light, is designed to take the shadow off of your subject. Also, the backlight is used to light the back of your subject, and it also separates your background from your subject, which gives you a great 3D effect, cinematic look. Last but not least, we want to create a background light. So we want to set up a background. In this case, we're going to use a flower arrangement that was in the church. We're going to position it right behind our subject. And then we're going to get this light, and we're going to shine a blue light on the background. All right, brothers and sisters, we hope and pray that you have enjoyed these videos, these tutorials that we've been giving you today. I guarantee you, if you take time and you practice and learn more about it, if you need any help, please contact us. We want to help you out to think more like a pro for the kingdom of Christ. We can do this, guys. Our job is to create a presentation that will bless the entire world. Let's represent Christ the best way we possibly can and allow these preachers to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. We love you guys. Please subscribe to the Church TV network. Please like, comment, share these videos, and we pray that you will be inspired to do God's will. God bless you, and bye-bye.
I'm going home. I'm going home. I'm going home. home. I'm going home. Said I am going home to see my Lord. Going home. Yes, I am. One of these moments that won't be long. Y'all gonna look for me. I'll be going on home. I'm gonna fly away to a better place. I can hardly wait. No, going home. Hey, yeah. Don't worry about me, y'all. I'm going on home. See the king. Whoa. Hey, said I am going home. Boy, yes I am. Going on home. One more thing. All of my loved ones going on before. Y'all gonna see them again. Over on the other shore, and we will meet again. Way beyond the sky, we'll be together forever. Won't have to say bye-bye. Wanna see my mother, my loved ones, y'all. But most of all, y'all, I wanna see my Lord. The one that died, gave his life, and paid the price. Yeah, I can't wait to see his face. I'm thinking for his word. Hey, oh Lord, yeah, one more thing. Say, if anybody down here start looking for me, yeah, now just do me one favor and tell them for me. Hey, tell them y'all going home. Tell them for that I'm going home. And I got one question to ask you, see. Don't you wanna go home? 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 Said I wanna go home. 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 I wanna go home, yeah, 'cause I wanna see Jesus. I wanna see Jesus way up in the sky where we will never die. To wipe the tears from my eyes. I don't have to cry no more over on the other shore, yeah, 'cause I wanna go. Don't you wanna go? Don't you wanna go home? Said I wanna go home. No, I can't wait to fly away. Whoa, whoa, oh, see my Savior's everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. When I get home, no more cry, no more tears, no more pain. See my Jesus, I take his hand, and we'll walk all over God's. Oh yes we will. Tell him how we made it over through the struggles of life, through the pain. Oh yes we did. Enemies try to bring it down.
Using technology to reach your congregation and community during the coronavirus. I'm Carol Hunter, Stonecrest Church of Christ, McDonough, Georgia, where Dr. Richard L. Barclay is senior minister. If you're tuning into this workshop, then I'm starting this presentation off preaching to the choir. Your house of worship may look very much like ours, full of empty seats. Or if you started to reconvene, you've noticed that some of your members just have not returned. The reality is our pre-COVID worship experience is history, but the mandate as Christians to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ remains the same. This presentation is designed to help churches use the tool, which is technology, to take the message to the masses. In fact, using this technology gives you the ability to connect with people anywhere at any time. So today we're going to cover content and creativity, budgets and basics, equipment and technology, building a team and training. Our goal is to leave you with 10 points that will help to inform your decisions about use of technology in your church. I'll be drawing upon the expertise of members of the Stonecrest production team to share important information with you. I'm here with Brandon Abernathy, owner of 3 Cent Media. And Brandon, I chose this location overlooking the foyer at Stonecrest Church of Christ because the brightness just matches your energy. It matches the passion that you bring to this work. Could you tell us why it's important for churches to get into that online game right now?
Yes, ma'am. As far as the state of our nation and everything right now with the midst of coronavirus, everything going on, the way that we worship is totally different than the way it was at the end of last year. And churches need to be able to learn, listen, and adapt to that. For a lot of churches, maybe social media wasn't your thing before, recording, going live wasn't your thing before. It is your mainstay of communication between you, your congregation, and the people outside of your church right now. So there are a lot of things that churches just simply need to be aware of in today's world. And the main thing being that coronavirus does not bend the rules of social media. Social media does not bend to the laws or regulations of coronavirus, whether it be wearing your mask. Those types of things don't happen. So where you find yourself is trying to figure out content or figure out ways to bring your church into the digital age, to people who aren't able to just say, hey, come visit my church, come sit down with me. Can you keep their attention long enough on a video screen? Is your content deep enough and to be able to engage those types of people? So what our job is at 3 Cent Media, as it involves the church, is to come in, listen, and figure out what are those things that we can help your church bring to the forefront of today.
You mentioned the importance of developing content. What really does that mean? How do we get that done?
As far as content is first understanding and evaluating what it is that your church has to offer. That's what content is. Things that you can offer to somebody else. If you think of just a basic example in life, you're not going to a store if they don't have what you want or what you need. So figure out first off, what is it at your church that you can provide to people, whether it just be the facility itself, once you handle logistics, or whether it's you have a chorale of singers, or whether it's somebody who's animated, or you just have different types of organizations throughout your church. All of that is content. We just have to figure out how to bring it to the masses. So also, for example, here at Stonecrest, they have a wonderful musical team. Bring that to the forefront, whether it be in practice or whether it be on Sundays or whether it be performances in and outside of church. All of that needs to be documented and showcased for the world and also your congregation to see.
And I think it's important that we share that each one of these elements of content is a way that people in the world get to see who you are. We don't know what's going to pique their interest, but it is evangelism. We take something as simple as a song that our singers may be singing in worship, and we show the realism between them and put that out in the world, and now people are piquing their interest.
Yes, ma'am. Even if, and think of it in its simplest form, even if you just have somebody that you want to display praying, you love the spirit of their prayer, you feel like, well, if it touches everybody in our congregation, why can't it touch you at home? Everybody has a phone, everybody has a camera. Put it out there. It's as simple as that.
So Brandon, how do we connect with young people? I know we have in our congregation youth as well as seniors who are all having to get into using social media right now. But how do we connect and begin to evangelize to our young people through this opportunity?
The same exact way as your previous question, evangelize and speak to them. Getting back to the basics of evangelism, which is caring about people. It's not about I'm coming to you just to see what you can do to help me out in my church and what we need you to do. Come to them on their level. What are you doing? What is going on in your life? How can the church help facilitate what's going on in your life? So if you have a child that's good on social media, which pretty much all children are, don't go outsourcing everybody when you may have that good social media person in-house. And that breeds and it grows their life as well. So 2-3 years down the line, they should be running your whole AV system at church. You know, build those people up, give them real on the job training. So therefore, as the pages turn and the years go by with your church, you're not losing people. You're not disseminating your congregation. You have everything that you need in-house. Everybody is already being grown and cultivated, and then your church becomes a well-oiled machine that you never have to leave.
Each one teach one in
Yes,
an
ma'am.
area of ministry.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Brandon, what I'm hearing you say is we can't be afraid of change. We have got to be relevant in society today if we're going to continue to minister to people and to evangelize.
Yes, ma'am. Pretty much all that means is engage everybody that you can, inside of your church, outside of your church. Don't try to tackle everything on your own. Cultivate the young people that are in your church. They're there. Bring them, ask them questions about social media. That could be something as simple as what time of the day is best to post, this type of thing. Would you rather like a boomerang or you like a regular picture? Those types of subjects from young people can kind of help you bring your content to the forefront. So in closing, don't be afraid of change. Embrace the change and embrace the people who can help you bring that change.
So here are the first of our 10 points. Develop content to expand your reach. Be creative. Think outside the box. Number 2, tap into existing resources, including the youth in your congregation. In order to implement a successful media ministry, we recommend that you consider the following topics. Production management. What equipment will I need to fulfill my media ministry goals? Who has the experience to do this well? How will we organize to deliver consistent content? Technology. The basic needs will include cameras, audio equipment, and lights. Will I need editing equipment, software, and networking? What social media platforms is my target audience using? Is a radio or television ministry still relevant? Is it affordable? Is streaming to Facebook or a Zoom platform going to be enough? What policies and procedures should be in place to sustain our processes? And what will be our standards? How will we evaluate whether we're successful? I'm here with Cornell Gell. He is one of the engineers with 3 Cent Media and a consultant here at Stonecrest. Thank you so much for taking a moment, Cornell, to talk with us.
Glad to be here.
There are so many choices out there. How does a church begin to develop a video production budget and get the right equipment?
Well, I'll say start with the people that you have in-house. A lot of churches have an audio engineer or a video engineer that they have had on staff for years. These are the people that are generally going to be working the products. Start with them. Ask them who they've reached out to, who they've contacted for service or equipment in the past. If you're hitting a brick wall or you want to diversify, get something new, someone new, fresh opinion, that's great. Then reach out to your peers. So here at Stonecrest, you guys reached out to some folks you knew, and that's how 3 Cent Media got involved. So someone might reach out to you, and then you would hopefully recommend 3 Cent Media. But at the end of the day, you want somebody who's qualified. You want to find out their depth of experience, what projects they've worked on, because you want somebody who's worked on a project similar to what you're about to undertake.
When I look out there and we're trying to get prices, you see everything from $5,000 up to $500,000.
Yes.
How do we know what to get for what amount?
That's going to depend on you. It's like buying a car. Everybody wants a Bentley, but we all can't afford a Bentley. So we look at what features we need. So talk to your deacons, your elders, the church body. Look at what's going on in the world around us. Most everybody wasn't streaming before coronavirus came, but now the demand is there. You almost have to stream because we can't get bodies in the church. So look at what you need. first. And then from there, I would go as just a general rule of thumb. For your consumer systems, these are your smaller systems, they're going to be under $30,000. And that includes labor, installation, design. That's an all-in price. And if you want a prosumer system, prosumer means it's a step up from consumer. The parts are a little bit better, things are a little bit robust, they last a little bit longer. Then you're going to look at the $70,000 to $100,000 range. And that's going to be your mid-range. You should get 5 to 10 years out of that system. And if you want to go for the gusto, you want to be on par with Joel Osteen, New Birth, Potter's House, then we're talking systems that are in excess of $250,000 or more, easily $1 million, $2 million. But these are commercial systems where you can do all kinds of custom rigging, all kinds of ideas. Basically, if you can dream it, you can bring it to life. So that's what you look at as far as pricing. But again, this all goes back to what you can afford. Now, that's the equipment side and installation. Remember, you have to operate it. Just like we all want that Bentley. Let's say you could afford the Bentley. Well, you don't drive it for 5 years or so until you stop making payments. You still have tires that have to be changed, oil changes that have to be done. It's the same thing with your video system. You still have to maintain your lenses. Your equipment goes in for service every now and then. So these are costs that you have to keep in mind. And that's typically going to be anywhere on your larger systems from 1 to 5% of your budget. So you need to put that aside for repairs, maintenance, etc.
So one of the things I know here at Stonecrest, as we made a recent purchase and we went in that mid-range.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you. One of the things we know, not only are we recording our worship services, but we want to be able to use technology to do other forms of evangelism.
That's great.
When a body of people are coming together to put this in, I want to ask this question again. How necessary is it to have someone like yourself who understands engineering and wiring? How important is that to have that in the mix of what you're doing?
Well, I'd like to say it's critical. And the reason I say it's critical, we have the experience of doing things and doing them again and again, that if your body does not have it, we can help you avoid some pitfalls. We can help you avoid, hey, we just need to change this dial on a camera. We need to be in the right setting where it not only looks good, but it also sounds a lot better. And we can get there a lot faster and not waste as much time as someone who just may not know would do. So I would definitely say it's important from that aspect of helping you to accomplish your goals more efficiently and effectively. Now, you may not need us all the time. We might just need to come in and teach. So at 3 Cent Media, we teach. We're big on education. We don't want to just be there day in, day out, week after week, and then when we leave, all the knowledge goes with us. We want to teach. That way, we're not there forever. We don't want to be here forever. We want to teach you so you can do it yourself. Awesome. And that's something that you're going to want out of your consultant also.
So again, the equipment considerations include cameras, audio board, digital switcher, graphics, monitors. Consider where you're going to place all of this equipment in your church. What are your logistics? You'll need a specific production room that has the right wiring. You'll need monitors and sound. How will you communicate between your camera operators, your audio operators, and your switchers? Schematics and standard operating procedures. This is important to continue to train new people as they come through. So equipment documentation, troubleshooting and maintenance, operator training. And lastly, next level. We're all in this for one purpose, to take our ministries to the next level. What will happen when you reopen your church? Can you use your equipment for theater presentations, conferences and trainings, rental and revenue, or other ministry opportunities? It is my pleasure to introduce my brother, Marcus Reams. Marcus is the principal architect of AWC Technology Solutions and a longtime member here at Stonecrest Church of Christ.
That's right.
Marcus, Tell us, what do we have to do to get online?
Well, I mean, there are some basic things that need to be in place. Obviously, you need to have a camera of some kind, have an internet connection, an account with any of the online services like Facebook, YouTube, and the like. Any of the social media platforms would certainly work well. Now, I would suggest that you have somebody come in and kind of help with the overall plan for things, because you want to make sure that what you're doing today is you're not going to have to turn around and upgrade that in 6 months or so from now. So you always want to be careful about that. Make sure you do some proper planning, but just quite simply, just a camera, somebody to run that while people are on stage, an internet connection, and I would suggest probably not doing a wireless one. Making sure you got something that's actually a cable that's plugged in there. You're less susceptible to interference, with that, and certainly a much more stable connection overall. But those are really the basic things that you need.
So I know something that's near to dear to your heart is security.
Yes.
Especially for churches as they're getting online. Tell us why you're so concerned.
Well, in 2017, the numbers that they looked at for people being on the internet was about 3.5 billion. They expected that number to eclipse 4.5, this year in 2020. All of those people that definitely don't have your best interests at heart. In fact, we've even seen recent episodes where a church during their service had somebody hack in and put up pornographic material or make inappropriate statements, things of that nature. I've seen in the past where somebody may have an actual service going on, and while they're projecting up on the screen, see some inappropriate material come up during the services. We tend to think of church and home as being safe places, so we don't take the same approach that, for instance, that a business would. We need to start thinking more along those lines. If you're going to protect yourself going to an ATM machine, making sure you lock your car doors. I mean, what sense would it make for you to lock 3 of the doors but leave that one open? Why lock the front door to my house but not the back door? So we've got to make sure we're protecting ourselves at every step. And certainly in the environment that we're in now, with more and more people being online, more and more devices being connected, there are more and more avenues for people to actually attack us. And we're seeing a major spike with all that. You think about the political climate that we're in right now and all the things about disinformation and whatnot that's out there. We are under major attack. And certainly as church, as Christians, we've got to be mindful of Satan using every vector of attack they can possibly use. So when we're putting stuff out there on Facebook, we're putting our services, there's certain basic things that we should probably do, like using our passwords. So certainly if we're using Zoom, I'll just use that as an example.
We do a lot of Zoom.
Exactly. So with Zoom right now, they're making sure that when you're setting up a meeting, that you've got to have a waiting room in place, and you also have to have a password set for the meeting. You want to make sure that only your members have that password to that meeting. You set up that waiting room so that when people do come into the meeting, that whoever is hosting it can then go ahead and allow those people to come in. And if you happen to have somebody who does get in, do what we call Zoom bombing, then you can actually quickly move that person either back to the waiting room or just ban them completely from the meeting so they're not coming in anymore. If you, and that's just say a regular service that you might do where you may need to have interaction with everybody else. If you're not needing that kind of interaction, let's say for instance it's just a worship service that you're doing. You've got a lot of spectators there not really needing any interaction from the audience itself, then I would suggest doing a Zoom webinar. So if you do a web meeting or webinar, then people have to register, and then an email is generated and sent to them that gives them the password and all that information to get in. And of course, make sure you don't then just go out on social media and post that password and whatnot, because again, you're opening this up to the world, and I promise you, if it's going to happen, you got to think about it as, not from the standpoint of if it happens, realize that it will happen. Okay, so we have to be prepared to try to mitigate any issues that may possibly come up, and always be vigilant in what we do. If we're going to do this in our Christian walk about how we do things in life, this is one of those things that we need to make sure we have added to that whole docket of things that we need to make sure we do.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So here's important point number 3. Research before you invest. Tap into professional people you know and other churches that are successfully using technology for references. Also, it's okay to start small. Make purchases that you can build upon to grow your program. Number 5, Essential gear for quality church video production include cameras and microphones, video switcher and audio mixers, video editing equipment software, and once you've developed your content, you may stream to any multiple platform. Number 7, make sure your networks are secure. Seek professional advice from experts in your area if you need support. Isaac Nixon is one of the servant leaders here at Stonecrest Church of Christ. He's got a background in manufacturing, but he's got a passion for our audio video ministry. And he's been giving leadership to that ministry since we moved here in 2018.
That's right.
So Isaac, what's been one of the challenges that you've experienced in taking our worship service from our AV, when we were just providing audio and video,
Right.
when doing our worship service, to now having to take that online?
Well, when we did that, we had to understand that our audience has expanded from what was just in the room to what was going to be on Facebook. And I know that was going to be a much broader audience, and we had to work on engaging them and making sure that, you know, all the little parts and pieces that people don't necessarily think about come together. You know, especially, you know, starting off with our audio to make sure that that was clean, because I guess through some of my studies and research, that audio is probably the most important out of everything that we do. Is because that sometimes people at home, when they plug into something, they'll get it going, and they may be doing other things, but they're listening more so than actually watching the visual part of it. So if the audio isn't good, they'll just move on to something else. And then we worked on the video part of it, make sure all the lighting was good, and that you know, there's some depth to that. But again, those are all things that engage people that watch our services.
I know one of the things too, in working with our worship leaders, reminding them to look into the camera,
Right.
that the audience is in the camera, not necessarily in the audience
Right.
anymore.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I've noticed since we've been doing social media and sharing our services online, that our people are very much engaged.
Right.
They tell us if they don't like something, if the audio is out.
Mm-hmm.
What should people expect? Because sometimes it can be a little hard when you start getting this feedback,
Right.
but also it can be valuable.
Right. Yeah, it can be difficult sometimes because you're looking at it from one perspective, they're seeing it from a totally different perspective, and you kind of have to engage with what they're seeing to be able to satisfy them. But also you have to have a thick skin and know that they're only trying to help you make it better. Sometimes in the moment you don't necessarily feel it that way, but to understand what they are seeing and help them to help yourself understand the best way to convey the information that they're looking for. Because at the very beginning for us, some of it was just audio problems, and things cutting out here, volume levels not loud enough, and so that took some experience. Even with the talent that we're using in front of the camera, asking them to do certain things because they had to speak up into the microphone. We had to make adjustments. We had to get them to look into the camera more often. We had to actually have them, instead of looking around the room, know where the audience is and engage with that camera. And those things took time because I'm not sure if for those people who've been doing these different Zoom meetings, all these different, it took some time to kind of get used to. If you want to engage with somebody who was in front of you, instead of looking at yourself or looking at them on the screen, look at the camera that has a light on it so that you can engage them. And that just takes time.
We've really made some, I would say, major changes in what our worship experience is from when we were all together sitting in a congregation to online.
Right.
Would you talk about some of the changes you've had to make?
Well, when everyone is here, there's kind of a discussion about who's going to do what. But when we've transitioned to it being an online thing, everyone is not necessarily in the same room or at the same level. So there's a different component to the communication. It has to be a lot more clear, and there also has to be basically written out steps or a checklist to make sure that you hit those things you expect to hit. Without that, it can kind of go everywhere on you. And so it's important, and I even had to learn this too, that I have to extend out my communications to folks instead of what I have thinking up here, I have to kind of express that, and then express it in a way that it can be understood by those who don't necessarily work in this type of environment. And that, again, that takes time and experience. It takes some discussion ahead of time about what the expectations are, and then also just executing it and being consistent with what I do, so that everyone else around me can be consistent as well.
I know we've had discussions as whether to do our service video taped or do them live, and we landed on we would continue to do our services live.
Right.
And I know that presents some challenges, but also it has some benefits as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, the benefits to that is, I don't know, it just seems like there's more energy when you do it live. And if we just decide that we're going to tape something, we need to not let our talent know that we're going to do it, that we're going to tape it, so that they can keep their energy up, because that's important to be able to convey that. And also, when we do it live, I know there's some things that can happen that won't necessarily translate that like they should. And if we have to go back and edit that, there's some more realism to, a live production as opposed to it, it being taped and having to go back and kind of edit things out. I think people still want to see that there's some movement, some activity, and not just this stodgy, move from point A to point B to point C, and there's no kind of connectivity between the moving parts.
Excellent. In this current environment, any person can use their phone or an iPad to upload audio and video, stream it live, or connect it to Facebook and YouTube. If that's all you have, by all means, use it. We're just here to give you tools for next level ministry. However, a tool is only as useful as the person who knows how to use it. Building the right team for your media ministry is important. If you think about the NBA, every team has the same positions, but each team is uniquely different, and some are much better than others. The successful ones tend to call plays based on the strengths of their players. It's very much the same with your video production team. Building the right team includes knowing what roles do you need to fill and being honest about skill levels you'll need to have in play. And it's okay to begin with building on strengths that you currently have and acknowledging your weaknesses. At Stonecrest, our video production is still a work in progress. Quality audio production is one of the standards that we set early on. So we invested in contracting audio engineers to help out when we identified our audio quality wasn't where it needed to be, and it was distracting from our worship experience. We were honest with them and very much upfront. We let them know that we didn't want to hire professionals forever. And we asked them to train our people to be able to take over our audio engineering at some point. As you plan your ministry, decide whether to outsource your video projects or build a team in-house. If you're going to do it in-house, seek members with experience. Also, tap into people who have a teachable spirit and who are willing to join your team and learn. Define your top priorities based on the resources, the people that you have in place, and then include training as a part of your investment in this ministry. I've divided team roles and responsibilities into 4 categories: leadership, creative, technical, and engineering. In that leadership category, your ministers, your elders, and your deacons are very important. It is critical that your ministry lines up with the Word of God and the mission of your church. Your members are a part of your audience. Feedback from those members is critical in helping you to know whether or not you're being successful in your work. The executive producer is a technical term we use in the broadcast industry. In our church, he's our chief administrator. He is our liaison from our ministry to the leadership, and he's over things like our budget, helping us get the things we need, the resources we need to do this work. On the creative side, we have a producer, associate producer, director, and talent. All of these folks have very specific roles in our worship experience, but also when we're doing other productions that support our content that we're delivering online. In the area of talent, I include that as any person who is in front of that camera ministering, teaching, or preaching to our audience. And it's very important that you think of them as talent so that you're able to help them transition from speaking in front of a live audience to speaking into that television audience or that media audience that they're connecting with through the camera lens. Under the technical side, we have a technical director, camera operators, audio operators. Lighting is very critical to make sure you're able to illuminate in the right way and not have a lot of shadows in your production. Production assistants to help when we're doing live production. A floor manager who helps with moving people back and forth, and graphics that support the production. The engineering area is also very, very important to your success. Because we're streaming everything to media, we want to make sure we have the right connectivity and the right networking, which requires some IT engineering. We also have a broadcast engineer because their responsibility is helping maintain our equipment, and we never ever want something to break down or keep us down and we're not able to deliver content to our members. So in your notes to remember, number 8, build on your strengths. Engage professionals to be on your team as needed. And this may include some of your youth who are social media savvy. Number 9, your leadership and members are important to your team. Use them to improve your product. And number 10, increase your knowledge. Check out resources on the internet. I've given you one example here. I love this photo. This is our Stonecrest family before COVID. And I certainly look forward to the day when we're able to embrace and worship together again in our sanctuary. However, I realize that life is going to be different. Connecting via technology is now a part of our new norm. It's important that we all are comfortable and capable of taking advantage of our media productions. Thank you for your time today. I hope we've been helpful. See you on the internet.